Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Athletic School podcast. Today, our guest speaker is Malik Thurman. Am I saying that right?
Malik.
Malik
Yep.
Thurman. Yep. So Malik played basketball at Lourdes University, where I also play soccer. And now he's the digital marketing manager at FC Cincinnati. And today we're going to talk about not only how you got there, Malik, but
Yeah.
also some other hot topics that we already talked
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
of the podcast a little bit. So thanks for joining me.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the invite. I've been seeing you post on LinkedIn like for a while now. So I
Yeah.
was like, I finally was like, man, I need to be a guest on there. Let
Yeah.
me let me get a spot.
Yeah, I love it. And the day you said like, look, I have opinions. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I want people with opinions. I
Of
don't.
course. Of course.
I want people that come here and and say something that I don't want to. I mean, nothing wrong with that, but I don't want you to say, "Oh, don't give up and work
Yeah.
hard."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But
Yep.
I want to dive a little bit more deeper in your mindset. So to begin with, tell me about basketball marketing. You played basketball at Lords,
Yep.
which is not a big school. You
Yep.
got a degree there, and then you end up here today at FC Cincinnati. Tell me how was that? How was playing basketball and how you got here today?
Yeah. Crazy question. Like it's crazy to like think back on that. When you start out as an athlete, you have no idea what you want to do. I feel like a lot of athletes can heavily associate with that. But one thing I always did in my free time was just be creative. I was into Photoshop, video editing. I was really big into social media. Um, I played basketball, and that was really what I was doing in my free time at that time, though, especially like in high school, I didn't know what any of that stuff was. I didn't know what building a website meant to businesses. I didn't know what having a good Twitter profile was to businesses. And when I finally got to college, you have to pick a major. So I
Mhm.
was like, business, I guess sounds like something I would like to do. But when you're in it, it's like, okay, I'm in a business major. What work am I actually
Yeah.
doing?
Hmm.
So literally when I transferred to Lords, that was when I switched my major to marketing. And really at Lords was when I was learning just all the different things you can do in marketing, advertisement, social media manager. Um,
And why did you change your major to marketing?
I had a professor. So I went to a junior college, Edison Community College, and I had a professor there that seen one of my projects, and it was a really cool project. It was a project where you had to put together a commercial for a fake product,
Hmm.
and everybody got assigned a business, and my business was McDonald's. So I made like some like crazy milkshake or something, and like made a whole commercial for it, and like mocked out the script and everything. Like very like nerdy in the sense of like I loved, like I had a lot of fun with that project. And my professor seen it, and that was the first thing she said to me was like you really need to hone this, work on this. Like you have something here. And that was when I went to Laura's, like I was like, yep, marketing is what I'm going to do. Because she was really the only person to even say that to me. Everybody told me I was creative, everybody told, you know what I mean, but like somebody
Yeah.
who was actually like, no, you could really have a career in this if you really, you know what I mean, work on it. So I mean, fast forward, just graduated from Lords, and I started in social media, and moved into more broad marketing roles, and a lot of those roles, that's kind of where digital marketing really, it was always my strong suit. It was always just something I was good at because of what I just said. Where in high school and all of those things, like that was stuff I was just doing for fun. I was really messing around on websites for fun. I was
Yeah.
really video editing for fun. And when it came to digital marketing, that was something I really wanted to take further. And the opportunity opened at FC Cincinnati. No soccer knowledge, no knowledge of even the MLS. And I went through that whole interview process of like, this is my skill set, and this is what I'm strong at. And they were like, "Hey, you can learn soccer. You can learn soccer another day. Like this
Yeah.
is what we need right now." And that has led to where I am now.
Hmm. Awesome. And I want to go back a little bit. When you were a student athlete, um, you said that you are already like, you mentioned creative, but I feel like you're
Yeah.
more like interested in learn different skills, right?
Yep.
And sometimes student athletes, they lack that
Yeah.
because they're just so focused on the sport.
Yep.
Do you feel like, in a way, learning those things outside the sport took you away from the sport in a way, or it was okay? Were you able to balance them both? Because I feel like student athletes have so much going on at the same time,
Yeah.
and they wanna, some wants to go professional, some wants to, improve their skills and play as best as they can.
Yeah.
But you did pretty good at Lords. You were playing, right?
Yep.
So it's not like you had a lot of time to do those things on the side, but you did anyways.
Yeah.
So what was your mindset back then? It was like, okay, I'm playing for fun and I wanna learn something else, or what was going on your head?
Great question. High school, I didn't get an offer to play college basketball in high school until my senior year.
Hmm.
And I felt like I was good enough sophomore year. I felt like I was good enough junior year. And I think mentally that already started building up in my mind of, if I'm not doing basketball, what am I? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? What am I gonna do? And that was when I started like we had rappers we went to high school with. We had content creators we went to high school with. That was when I started mingling with them more, because I'm like, I like what y'all do. Like, you know what I mean? I enjoy what y'all do. What y'all do is just as fun as playing basketball. And that was kind of where it did start building up. And, especially through college, like once I got to my senior year of college, like I kind of had that in my mind of like, I'm probably not going to the league. And also in the sense of like, I just wasn't enjoying it as much.
Hmm.
Um,
And why is that?
I think is what I was saying is like when I was in high school, like all I was a basketball player. And when you start tweening into those different crowds of like, like I said, content creators and all of those people, and they're like, you just play basketball, like you don't know nothing about this. And it's like, why can't I? And like that I think that mindset stayed with me for so long, for once I got to college and once I was networking more and once I was meeting people more. um it was like I just wanted to just be more than a basketball player. And I think it was just the reality of the situation. Like I think, like, I wasn't at a Division 1. I wasn't on ESPN every night. So it's like the reality of the situation was like I gotta be more than a basketball player. And I think I feel like I wish I would have focused more on basketball, but I'm very proud of myself in the sense of, like you were saying, like wanting to learn more, wanting to get more skill sets. Like I'm proud I did that versus just settling being an athlete.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like it's a problem because we focus so much on being an athlete, and of course you focused on other skill sets, right? But I think sometimes we forget, and I say this all the time, like before we are athletes, we are human beings.
Yep.
And I say that more in a sense of, on the emotional intelligence side of it, not
Yeah.
necessarily learning other skills. But I think it's important to learn different skills as well,
Yep.
because I mean, if you play professional, you're gonna play what, until you're 35, and then what are you gonna do?
Right
Like,
back to it. Yep. You
yeah,
gotta you gotta relearn everything. How do you do taxes? How do you know what I mean? Buy a house? Like it's people that
like,
lack like just really basic skills because they are just locked in on being an athlete. No negatives to that. Like I
mhm,
said, I think you have to really choose which way you gonna go with it.
yeah, 100%. And then once you graduate from Lords, do you do any other works? I remember you telling me that I think you did some freelancing as well.
Yep.
How was the way to the MLS, to getting the job at FC Cincinnati? I
Yeah.
know they were growing, and like you said, like you had the skill sets, but How did you develop the skill sets? Was learning? Was it doing it? What did you? How did you get the job?
Yeah. It was funny. So, like I said, I started in social media. Didn't really like social media that much. I got into a more broad marketing role where I was able to see a lot of different aspects of a marketing campaign. And it was really in that role where I was frustrated. I was frustrated because I didn't know where to go next. All I was at this point was just a college graduate with a marketing degree. Like that's
Mhm.
what like that. Those are the like really basic roles you can get, like social media coordinator, marketing coordinator. Like those are really the fundamental roles and entry level roles you can get with a marketing degree. And then you start to figure out which route you want to go. So, like I said, like I was just naturally doing things outside of work, you know what I mean? Like video editing, like graphic design, like paid media. And I had a meeting. Literally it was like a year into my role, and I was trying to figure out I was trying to hear something I haven't heard yet. So
Mhm.
I was scheduling meetings with so many people, people at EA Sports, people at ESPN, people at the NBA, because I knew I wanted to be in a space that I like just naturally enjoyed, because I felt like it would push my work that
Mhm.
much further. And I got a meeting with a guy from the NBA, and he was like the head of content or something, like some crazy role where I'm just like, I don't even know how I'm on this call right now. And I'm literally asking him, like, listen, like I have about 2 years of experience in marketing. Like I know that's relatively nothing in the grand scheme of things, but like what is the path to get to where I'm trying to get to? And he just straight up asked me, like, what do you do outside of work? And like at this time, I'm like, I do a little, you know what I mean? Like what I was saying, I do a little so here and there. And like he's like, nah. He's like, that ain't gonna cut it. He was like, you really have to hone your skills outside of what you do at work, because you have to meet new people. You have to find out what opportunities is out there. Like you just have to do something outside of your career, because what if your career doesn't work out? You know what I mean? What if you get laid off? What if you get fired? Like whatever happens in your career happens, but you got to have something that is helping elevate that career. And when he told me that at the time, like I was just like, wow, like yes, like that makes sense. And like literally at this time, like that was when I started just sharing the things I was working on more. I started, posting on my Instagram, hey, this is a video edit I did for my friend, blah, blah, blah. Like I started just showing what I was doing more, and people just started reaching out to me. Hey, how can I get that done for me? What do I got to do that? And that's why I just started slapping a price tag on it, like this is how much it costs. Like, and that was kind of the start to my freelancing career, where I started just sharing it. I started just sharing the things I was working on, and that helped me a ton. That helped me a ton, especially in that like freelance realm where like I'm not actively looking for extra work. People are actively reaching out to me. And that's the best, I guess, example of how people get into freelance is people are willing to pay you to do things for them. And they have to see that you can do the work. That's the other thing that people always ask me about freelancing, is like, how do you get into freelancing? It's like, people don't know what you can do until you show them. And that's a lot of my social media. That's a lot of the, projects I've collaborated with, is like that's my portfolio. Is if somebody comes across me, if somebody meets me, like that, this is what I'm about. And I think that has helped me in my freelance work. And like you said, just answer your question, like when it came to FC Cincinnati, like paid media website stuff, like
Mhm.
they know I can do it. Like that's not part of the interview process. The interview process is, can you gel with the team? Are you capable? And because they knew based off of everything I've explained, like you're already well past the person that's just trying stuff out, or well past the person that's only done stuff at their job, where it's like you have a wide range of, knowledge that applies very heavily to the current role you have.
Mhm. Awesome. I love that mindset. But then you get to FC Cincinnati, a big organization, so you are doing different things.
Yep.
What's your day to day like at FC? And how does that mindset that you had when you were a freelancer
Yeah.
translate to what you do at FC today? Is it a different mindset? Is it the same? How does that work?
It's funny because when I got the job, I told my wife, like, this is my biggest client. Like that was the mindset
Uh-huh.
switch of like, all that stuff was in the past. Like I was like, FC Cincinnati is now my biggest client. Like I got to do everything I can to make my client happy, and that has transitioned well into my role at FC Cincinnati, because now, like, me representing the marketing team, like that's kind of how we move as like an agency. Is like we're servicing so many people around the organization where people have different goals, people have different campaigns they're working on, people have different understanding levels of what we can accomplish on our side. And it's like, how can we service better? And that's like 99% of freelancing is making people happy. Like I can do some paid media stuff, I can do some video editing, like, but like you gotta meet them where their expectations are. And I think that has transitioned very well to my role at FC Cincinnati. Like I said, FC Cincinnati is officially my biggest client as of now, and I think that has helped my mindset a lot, just from the case of like, how do we keep leveling up? How do we keep getting better results? How do we keep them coming back? How do we keep them trusting in what Malik can bring to the table?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And I don't think a lot of people think that way. And one of the reasons that people don't think that way is because they don't come from the same background
Yep.
as you come from,
Yep.
which is being an athlete.
Yep.
Um, do you think being an athlete helped you with in terms of like that hustle mentality in a way?
Yes, I think it's funny because when you get into the corporate world, um, you realize the different mentality you have to someone who wasn't an athlete. And when you're growing up, like, athletes are like the popular crowd. You know what I mean? They're the people that people are looking up to, and that's the games you go to. That's the Friday night football games. Like, those are the people that you are looking up to. So like, when it comes to the corporate world, like, I feel like being an athlete and bringing that winning mentality to the table every time is something I don't think a lot of people know until they're thrown into that cage with them of like, nah, like, we gotta win. Like, like I don't care about any other stuff. Like, we gotta find out, and that's the other thing too, is a team. Like, I think just the team concept of like, I need you just as much as you need me. And I think from an athlete, I think that mindset has helped a ton. Is like, um, I don't have any animosity to somebody. Like, we on the same team, like, we all winning. And like, for us to win, like, we all gotta work together, you know what I mean, to get there. And I think, like you said, that hustle mentality, and you know, all them late night practices, all them, random trainings you gotta do, like that doesn't stop. Like, that, when you get older, like, that does not stop. Like, literally after this interview, like, I'm straight to the gym, because like, that's part of the grind. Like, I gotta stay up. So like, I think I 100% think being an athlete, it translates very well to the work culture, to the point, like just going back a little bit, like, when I got to the MLS, like, no, it wasn't the league that I would love to be in. Like, I play basketball, so I would have loved to be for an NBA team or something.
Mhm.
But like, the fact that it's sports, the fact that it's in my city, like, it's things I can believe in, and it's things that I can, you know what I mean, push for. Where just working for a random agency, working for a random company, like, it's hard to have that passion for it. You know what I mean? When you don't see it on the other side.
And how do you deal with people on your team that weren't an athlete and they
Yeah.
don't have the same mindset? Because that's something that I struggle with.
Yeah.
Sometimes in my head, I'm like, even though it's not about winning, in my head it is about winning. It's,
Yep.
you know, it's about like, okay, can we get more? Like yesterday at the game, we it was halftime, and then we're doing the 50-50 raffle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Lauren
Yeah.
asked guys, go around and talk to people, you know, if they want to be part of the raffle. And
Yeah.
I think at that time it was like $1,000 and maybe 700, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I told Lauren, look, I'm not coming back here before we get to 2,000.
Let's go. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you know, and some people just don't have that mindset. Some people just don't think that way. And you guys in the marketing team, you have some people below you, but you guys are like a big team, right? Even though you look at the digital part, there's other people that are like side to side to you, and
Yep.
some people below, some people above you.
Yep.
How do you deal with the mentality inside the marketing team? Like, how do you convince people, like, look guys, we have to do better, we have to work as a team, we have to win this thing, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because I personally struggle with that.
Yeah. Great question, because I think that was something I struggled with as well. Especially like I said, being in a role that is very entry level, or being at a role like you said where like you don't technically have people under you to like that you can kind of motivate in your own way. Like you're kind of, you know, going off of someone else's motivation. And I think was always what has always stood out to me, well, two things. One thing is definitely just being a natural leader. I think just being your own leader, I think has always went further for me. Is if you approach me, like I will have an idea of how I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to have an idea of how the people around me are going to get it done. And that translates really well to the people that you're reporting to, or the people that are looking at your work, because now they're like, I know you have it handled, but you know what I mean? The way you're doing it, I should probably tell the other people. You know what I mean? The way you're talking, I should probably tell the other people, hey, you should talk like Malik. Like, and I think that is something that has, I mean, that's group projects. That's, you know what I mean? That's small squad training and practice. Like that's all of that is like, I want to be the leader in whatever it is I'm doing, so that the person that is in charge, or the person that is saying the orders, like they're like, hey, you need to do more like this. Or if it's not that, how can we get you closer to that? You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be identical to that, but like, you know what I mean? What are the obstacles to take to get you there? And I think you want to lead, and I think that's really the best way. Like the fact that you have that story, like I know Lauren, so like I know that type of mentality has stayed with Lauren of like, dang, how do we get people on that? You know what I mean? How do we get people on that page? Because it may not be the same answer for you versus, you know what I mean, someone else. And that is the role of, you know what I mean, someone you report to. And I think the other side as well, and this is something I've been working on just for myself personally in my career, is how can you better service the people that you do report to? And I think that is something that helps a lot of people from the entry level, is like, you get good at your job. You know what I mean? You're working in your job for, you know, a year, let's just say, and you know everything there is to know about it. Start learning what the person is you're reporting to does. So then you can start learning like, oh, okay, like I could help with that. Like that's something I could help with, or, you know what I mean? Oh, I never thought about that. Like, let me get back to you. Like I might have a thought about that. Like, I think like the term is like up training, or like up mentoring, like up, like that's literally up is like, how do you better service the person above you? And when you start getting that knowledge, and then when your coworker asks you like, yo, what are we supposed to do for 50-50 raffle? You're like, oh, you know, this, that, like, you know, same as usual. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, okay, thanks. You know what I mean? I was wondering. And like that simple, you know what I mean, interaction, like, once again, that goes back to now you are practicing being a leader. Like you're literally practicing on, if I was in that role, like, would I have that answer? And I think that has something I've been working on a lot lately. You know what I mean? Just being a resource to the people that, like you said, maybe beside me, below me, whatever it is. Like, I just want to be that resource for if somebody asks me that question, I either have an idea or I know where to get that question. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what I've been working on a lot lately.
Yeah, and I love that mindset, but I think, and I want your opinion on
Yeah.
it. I feel like that might work in the corporate world,
Mm-hmm.
in the business world, but in the sports, it might be a little bit different because I was a goalkeeper. But let's say, I mean, I don't know any positions on basketball, but let's say the point
Yeah. Yeah.
guard,
Yeah.
right? Like if I'm on the bench
Yeah.
and you are playing,
Yeah.
um, if I come to you with that mentality in terms of like, hey, can you help me with this? Can I help you with this?
Yeah.
Like people might take it on the wrong way because technically I'm trying to take your spot.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's just different in the corporate world? Because sometimes I'm like, man, if I do this, they're gonna think that I want their job. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, even though I might, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I really want to learn about it so I can, improve myself and whatever job shows up, I
Yeah.
can apply and I can get the job.
Yeah.
But I feel like in sports, like there's always that competition. Like I was a goalkeeper and there's only one. So like if I make a mistake, the
Yeah.
next guy's gonna play. If he's doing better, he's gonna play instead of me. So there was always that. Like, look, we're kicking ball at each other. I'm gonna kick it hard, so I'm gonna make you look bad. You know what I mean? So there's always that in sports.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's different in the corporate world?
Um, it's funny because I'm thinking back to like at least how I treated it, and maybe that just adds to how I approach the corporate world as well.
Yeah.
Of like, if I'm helping you, the person who's supposed to sub in for me at halftime in a game that I know we down 4 points, and I know that you gonna come in and you gonna do the move I showed you last practice, we good. Like we are in a way better place than we were
Yeah.
last week when you was getting in and I was salty every time they passed you the ball. Like we're at a whole nother place where that's where I think I've taken that mentality to in the corporate world, where if my boss comes to me like, yo, can you stand in for the meeting for me next week? Like blah blah blah. Like here's the rundown, here's what it is. And I bring it back to him and how I interpret it. And he's like, all right, cool. Like I'll take it from there. And I think that's the point where it's like, if I went to that meeting and represented us in a negative way or represented us in a way that didn't get us all the information we needed, that would make my boss's job harder. That would make him look worse.
Mhm.
And that's where I think, like, especially for me and the people that report to me, like, hey, the better you are at your job, like, the better we all are. Like I have no issues. And I think as a mentor and as a leader, that is where you want to get the people under you up to. Like,
Mhm.
it would be insane for me to work for anyone that wouldn't want to see the person under them thrive, even in the sense of learning the things that you do. Because like I said, the more that they can take off of your plate, now that's the more for you as a leader to be able to focus on the things you want to focus on, the things you want to level up, the things you want to get better at. Where it's like that trickle down of like, okay, they're doing more for me, I'm gonna do more for the team. And I think that type of mindset, at least from my perspective, like that is how every team should operate. And that's how I see it, moving forward in the corporate world.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's fun you say that because I think at the end of the day, it's all about mindset and perspective,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the facts are there. It's up to you to decide how we want to look at things. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm just helping each other because we are a team, or no, he's trying to help me. He's trying to do this for me because he wants to take my spot. It's the
Yeah.
mentality that you decide to
Exactly.
to have at the end of the day. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a much better mentality to have and much healthier in a way, right? You don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
be in a place in a team sports or in a team marketing team
Yep.
that you feel like you can make any mistakes because someone's going to take your spot, right? I
Exactly.
think that's something that I didn't enjoy in sports. Even though like I like that competitiveness and all of that,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like we are a team, and if we win, everyone looks good. If we lose, everyone looks bad.
Everybody running at practice, so we might as well all get better.
Exactly. Um, And before we move on the topic, I want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about the marketing side of it, because I see a lot of athletes on social media, and I want to hear your opinion on personal branding and sports marketing. Because I feel like there's a lot of um, plays that we have in sports right now, like, oh, let's hire this guy because he's gonna bring a bunch of I don't know, sponsors, or I
Yeah.
don't know. I saw the other day on Formula One, we just had a Brazilian after, I don't know, 10, 17 years or something
Yeah.
like that, and they were showing how much he brought with him because he's from Brazil. So now there's more people watching, there's a
Yep.
bunch of different sponsors from Brazil, and that's, I mean, maybe they hire him for marketing purposes, or maybe they hire him because he's good, which he is.
Yeah.
So, in terms of personal branding and athletes, the future of marketing, like, where do you see things going? In a way, what are some trends that you see the marketing world going, like, in the next 5, 10 years?
Oh, I love this. I love this. I'll give you a player. He is my favorite basketball player. I literally have like his like action figure up there. Russell Westbrook has been a player I followed. Just somebody I followed, just being a basketball player. He was just somebody who he pulled up to every game just like on 10, like
Hmm.
arguing with refs, pushing people out the way. He's cussing out fans, like, but he give you 20 points, 10 assists.
Hmm.
Like he could come with all the fire, and like I just love that because it was something that a lot of players just didn't do. A lot of players were timid. A lot of players didn't talk much. You know what I mean? A lot of players just weren't overly vocal. Not saying every athlete has to be, but that's what made his career, and I think that's part of the conversation. Is like he maintained a good career, and I think as far as the future, I hope a lot of athletes don't tween from, I want to be a business owner and I want to be good at my basketball career, where I feel like Westbrook really spent a lot of his career focusing on the sport. How do I get to the top of the sport? The next part of that is he is now towards the end of his career. He is now late 30s. Like we said, you get to your 30s, your body is breaking down. Like you have to figure something out. Um, in his time in the league, he started a foundation. He also started an enterprise, and in that enterprise, he has like its own paid media division. It has its own real estate division. It has its own clothing division. Like, and when I first came across that, I didn't understand it because I'm like I said, you're in the NBA. Why the heck you got to do all this stuff? Like, but now it makes sense because we're seeing all this stuff with the NIL where you're giving a 17-year-old $1 million. He has to hire a lawyer. He has to hire a manager. He has to hire a lot of people. So what is he doing? He is literally building a business. Like that is the, I think in the end, like that is it. Is the best players that master that like personal branding, personal business thing, like they are going into it like I need someone in those places that's going to do that role for me. And that's where I think Russell Westbrook really took it to that, like he's at the moon with it for me right now, where like I said, like what do you mean you have a clothing division and a real estate division, and like what does any of that even mean to you? Like, but to him, he's like, oh, that's he has over $500 million in real estate. He runs my real estate division. Why wouldn't he? You know what I mean? Like that those are the type of mindsets I think athletes are gonna have to get to, is like they need to, for one, like I said, I think they still need to focus on their actual playing career, but they need to be able to plug the people in place that know what they're doing. They need somebody who knows social media. They need someone who knows clothing. They need someone who can cut hair well. Like they need those people to plug in when they need it. And I think that's really the future. And I've seen it a lot, especially at some universities. Even here in Cincinnati, some universities are building whole teams around NIL.
Hmm.
What do you need? Do you need a lawyer? You know what I mean? Do you need, you know what I mean, a contract? Like, they're building whole teams because as an athlete, you're not going to be able to understand all that stuff. And that is my advice, is there should not be a lot of thought in your personal branding. You should have someone to do that for you.
Hmm.
There's hundreds of people out. You can get on LinkedIn right now and find somebody in your area that's 100% ready to do it. And I think that is my idea of what the future of athlete branding looks like, honestly.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think athletes should focus on their performance, on their sports, But maybe for the player that it's playing at Lords and
Yeah. Yeah.
NAIA, a
Yeah.
much smaller
Yeah.
school, I think some of the things that they can do, and you can correct me on that, it's
Yep.
kind of do what you did back then.
Yeah.
It's like learning a little bit about the business world, because
Yep.
at the end of the day, like, yes, you are a person, but you are also almost an organization. You are almost a
Yep.
company, right?
Yep.
And especially like maybe when you get to that point, like the player that you're talking about,
Yeah.
um, you know a little bit of what you're doing, who you are hiring, and things like that.
Yep.
But if you don't, then you are ready to go somewhere else, and you are not totally clueless of what's happening around the world because you
Exactly.
are in this cave for 5 years
Exactly.
just playing the sport you were. And I think it's important for us to be able to develop ourselves as a human being in terms
Yeah.
of society, not only the sport that we live in.
Yeah.
Um, and well, I think my biggest thing for you now, I wanna know from you: is there any challenge that you face throughout your career, and maybe back in basketball, maybe in the business industry,
Yeah.
for being a black person?
Yeah. Um, I've always had this conversation with my parents. Like, I feel like this conversation has always started with my parents, where very, very young, my parents always instilled in me, people will let you know very quickly if you're not wanted in a place. And that's something I carried with me with my friends, my favorite teachers, you know what I mean? Like, groups that I'm a part of, like, I've always held that very tight to me. Of um I've met, just incredibly nice people, white, black, Asian, like, it never mattered, and they treated me like a human. And I think that has always resonated with me, to the point, like, I'm almost blinded to the fact of if somebody doesn't like me, because I'm just taking that as, oh, you just don't like me as a person, like,
Right.
so, you know what I mean, we obviously cannot vibe. And I think is something, like I said, I'm very unique in my case. I think a lot of other people are unique in their cases, depending on where you grew up at. You know what I mean, what neck of the woods you're in. But I think that's something I've always said to someone of another race, or, you know what I mean, where it's like, man, there's just so many nice people out there, man. There's so many people that are just hungry to give people that look like us an opportunity. Like, it's out there, and like, I am a product of that. And that's what I always tell people. Like, I am a product of someone looking at me as a human. Like, want to like you for you. That's it.
Yeah.
That's you know what I mean? That's led me across a lot of things. Like I said, organizations I've been a part of, groups I've been a part of, you know what I mean? Places I've been recruited to. Like, it all goes into how you are as a person. And I think when you go to those situations with that animosity, go into situations with that thought behind your head, you're gonna find it. You're gonna find it every time. If you're thinking it behind your head, like, are they gonna like me because I'm black? Like, who can, are they gonna like me because, you know what I mean, my skill set? Are they gonna like me because of what I do? And I
Yeah.
think that has always carried me further. And like I said, to answer your question, hey, maybe I have been, you know what I mean? Maybe there has been racism towards my way. Maybe there has been people to talk crazy to me. Has it affected my life? Has it affected where I'm trying to go? I don't know. I have no idea,
Yeah.
because I'm only focused on what I can control, and what I'm trying to do moving forward.
Yeah, and it's fun you say that, because that was the mindset that I always had. Because and I'm from Brazil, and back home, we don't see that. Like we're very, I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, we're almost like the US in terms of diversity,
Yeah.
you know? So, and we don't see those things,
Yep.
right? But then when I got here in the US, in the beginning, I was like, I mean, he probably just didn't like me,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
Maybe it has nothing to do with my accent. I never thought about those things. But
Yep.
then once I learned more
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got into the culture, I kind of like infected me in a way
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
maybe they don't like it because I have an accent. Maybe
Yep.
it's because I'm not white and I don't play baseball and I don't know anything about basketball, you know. So do you see like what are your thoughts on, you know, I think it goes back to the mindset,
Yeah.
right? Because and I feel like here in the US there's like everything is political correct,
It
like
is. It
you can't
is.
say these things, you cannot say those things,
Yep.
and everything you say it's wrong because it's gonna hurt this person or that person,
Yep.
and all of that. Do you think the mindset maybe that your parents taught you in a way, it's because that's why you think that way?
I was gonna say you reminded me what you were saying is like being infected is a funny word to think of it where
Yeah.
when I graduated I applied to 10 plus jobs 15 plus jobs let's just say and I'm still living at my mama's house. I'm asking her like straight up. I'm like, is it a problem my name is Malik? I
Hmm.
asked her that. And the look my mom gave me, I'll never forget. She's like, what the heck are you talking about? Like, what? Like, and like, I always like that moment, like, always resonates with me because, like, she's like, where would you want to work where they wouldn't want your name to it? Like, what company are you talking about? Because let's avoid it. Like, let's never shop there ever. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, like that's such a crazy thought. And yes, like I said, like that moment resonated with me so much because that was before I got my first job.
Mhm.
And I asked, like, is it a problem? My name's Malik. Like, should I don't know because my middle name's Alan, so I was like, should I go by Alan Thurman? And she's
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it could be a numerous amount of things on why you don't get a job, and like to harp on that, to harp on something that is so locked in on who you are. Like, I'm Malik. Like, I don't want to change that. I'm not gonna change that.
You
Like,
can't change that.
exactly. And it's like that's what you got to roll with. That's the card you was handed. It's like, why would you put that against yourself if you don't even know that's the reason?
Hmm. Um, and you know, but at the end of the day, I do feel like even though we choose not to think about those things,
Yep.
it is a reality in
Yeah.
a way.
100%.
And
100%.
I saw actually on another podcast they were talking about there's a study that 76% or 86% of the employers admitted that they don't hire people that have an accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, in a way, like, and maybe it's unconsciously, but because they see an accent and maybe they think that, you know, I don't know, that person cannot do this job or that job or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Um, what do you think it has to change um, for those things not to happen anymore? Is it us as employees, like you were saying, like, look, it is what it is, let me still go, or is it the employer's fault in a way that they have some type of discrimination? Because I feel like it's kind of like it's both in a way.
Yeah.
There's that type of person, like, and I know international students that, like, when we talk about accent, for example,
Mm-hmm.
there's people that don't try at all to, you know, and I mean, I don't hear my accent,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I try my best to be conscious enough and fix as much as possible as I can,
Yeah.
and learn the best way as I can. So, and a lot of people just don't care. They will go around saying a bunch of things that, you know, that doesn't even make sense. And they don't care enough to, like, okay, let me understand how this how to pronounce this thing, you know, or
Yeah.
like, I don't know, just in general.
Yeah.
But on the other side, there's also, let's say, let's bring to the US and Americans, or white people, in a way
Yeah.
that they do have that discrimination, in a way
Yep.
that sometimes it's not, they don't even do it on purpose, right? What do you think it has to change? Is it the mindset of both, or is one person mindset? What can we do?
Um, I've seen another podcast that mentioned a topic like this of um there's owners in the world. You know what I mean? There's people that create businesses. Like there's people that create jobs. Like that is a portion of the reality in America. And I seen a comment that basically was like, um, say you have a room, look, full of black people,
Hmm.
and you're servicing a specific product, specific idea, and one day you guys get into the office and you're like, wow, our numbers are not good. We are not making enough money. The doors might shut soon. And the answer is we should hire another black person. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like that's weird. That right? Like we should hire anybody. We are at the end, y'all. Like we need all ideas. Everybody, hands on deck. And I like that clicked for me where it's like, dang, like we as a human race, if we excluded one race from idea generation, math, science, like if we excluded anybody, just think how far behind we would be.
Hmm.
And that's where I'm like, culture is a huge thing. Like FC Cincinnati's culture, amazing. Like I've been in other organizations, the culture is cool. Like as far as like if you're bringing ideas to the table, if you clocking in doing your work, like I don't care if your hair's blue. Like as long as we are good, we are good. And I think that is the only like us going back to mindset. Like if you have a mindset of growth and you're limiting what your growth is, like it is what it is. And I think like I mean, like you said, there'll always be corporations like that, always be companies like that. But um I think it was a good statement you were saying where like you said, like someone complaining that people aren't hiring them because of their accent and they're choosing not to change anything about their accent. Like that's a personal problem. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like no one can help you with that. But I think on the other side of it, like I'm sure there's, you know what I mean, companies that, you know, are catered towards those people. There's opportunities that are catered towards, you know what I mean, that mindset. And yeah, I think it's a balance of, you know, where are you trying to really be at?
Hmm.
And the other side is I think as a, like we were saying, as a personal brand, as a business owner, as a freelancer, like if you want to be limiting in your thoughts and growth, like sure, but like you got to be open to everything. Like, and
Hmm.
I think that's the only way to really move past where we're at right now, because like that's the other reality. And that was a part of the conversation was like, you think of an Apple, you think of PayPal, like those just very large tech companies
Hmm.
where it's like they technically have completed everything. Like Apple can only drop so many iPhones. An iPhone is the biggest phone in the United States. So it's like, what do you do past that? If it came out where Apple was just only hiring one race, like it would be like, there's no way, because somebody has to keep bringing in those ideas, keep bringing in those new aspects of life, just bringing in just new perspectives that they have not already accomplished.
Hmm. And I want your opinion on something else. And we were talking about that off the record a little bit,
Yeah.
um, because there's this situation at Lords where when you look at everyone being recognized in
Yep.
a way at Lords, it's never an international student. and I could be wrong, but I haven't seen a black person there either. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? How like how can we change that in a way? Because when I look at some of the people being recognized there, I'm like, we already achieved so much more than this girl, than this guy. Why are we not there? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And how can we go past that? Because, and I, you know, in the US, and I talk about this in the other podcast another day, in the US, there's this thing that being polite and being political correct and all of that. And that's something that I always struggled with
Yeah.
because I always spoke out of my mind in
Yeah.
the most respectful way as possible.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, like I'm like, I have to do something about this. Like I wanna almost expose, like not expose in a bad way, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
call them off and like, wait a second, guys, why is Malik not going to be a guest speaker in one of the classes,
Yeah.
and we have someone that hasn't achieved as much? Is it like why? Is it because he lives far away, or is it because you know what I mean? Like, what's the problem? And I want to sometimes point that out because a lot of the times I don't feel like they do on purpose.
Mhm.
I don't feel like they do, like especially nowadays, like in a way it's it's pretty to be diverse, right? So everyone wants to be diverse and show that they are diverse.
Yeah.
So like why are you guys not even trying to be diverse in a way where you have so many different examples? And when my graduation at Lourdes, I was able to speak, to be a speaker on the
Okay.
graduation, and it was huge for me because I don't think any other international students did that. um, but then now that I graduated, like, and I made all the way to FCC, and I don't want to, not trying to be cocky or anything. I'm still part time and
Right.
all of that, but
Yeah.
like I don't see any other international students doing that.
Yeah.
And also I don't see any Lords graduates working in a major league, and you are the only one that I know, and maybe I'm wrong, but like
Yeah.
none of them are going to be a guest speaker in any of the classes that we have in marketing, sports management, none of that.
Yep.
So, and part of me, I'm like, yeah, I want to expose it. I want to talk to professor and email them. I'm like, look, wait a second, why is this not happening? Like, like, what can I do to improve? Do I have to be better,
Yeah.
or are you guys missing something? Um, what are your thoughts on on some of those things? Like,
Yeah.
should I expose in a way? Should I communicate? Like, should I raise a hand and like, wait a second, guys, can we do something else about it, or should I let it be? Should I improve myself? Should I just care less in a
Yeah.
way?
Um, I think that those are all great points, and I think it's also funny too because before I met you, I never truly understood the international student experience. Like you were saying, like as simple as the language barrier, as simple as the mentorship, like just those small things where it's like that's 10x harder because you are not even from this country, let alone the state, let alone the city. And um in that time period that when we first met, I did actually join the alumni board at Lourdes University, and um, I had the mindset going into it, like you said. I started connecting with a few people that I seen was that I would deem as successful that graduated from Lourdes, and I started seeing a lot of the things that they were sharing, and I had the same thought of like I don't know if it should be easier to find these people. I don't know if the amount of people is that small.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what it is, but when I did start going into it with that intention of I just simply want to connect with these people. Like I
Mhm.
just simply want to know who these people are. In that I got invited. I got invited by Bill, and he asked me to be a part of the alumni board. And I told him the exact same thing where like my time at Lords was life changing. Like as far as the people I met, as far as the education I got, like as far as me getting a college degree, you know what I mean? Like, my mom or my dad have a college degree. So it's like, Lourdes did that for me. And not knowing how to pay it back, I think, has been the struggle, I guess, from my perspective. And I think that kind of adds to what you were saying of like, I want to continuously help the kid that is a junior that just transferred there to hoop, who just switched his major, who has still no idea what he's doing. Like, I want to talk to that kid. And that's
100%.
and that's kind of where I joined the alumni board, with the intention. And I think one of the biggest things that I realized when I first joined the board is, yes, I think proximity is a big part of that. And I think if that is a hard part, if, you know what I mean, there's not enough of those people that are still, you know, in proximity of the school, I think they have to go heavier on the virtual side. We have to have virtual events, we have to have virtual learnings, and it has to grow from there. Okay, we have now identified there's 15 people in Cincinnati. Let's get them you know what I mean, a gift card to some restaurant so they can have dinner. Mm-hmm. Like I think that's the progression I'm picturing, at least from my time on the board. And I think that was what I identified was, yes, I think proximity is a big deal, because no, when you graduate from college, no, you're not meant to stay in the same place that you graduated from. But I think we just have to work with the times we're in. We have Zoom. We have, you know what I mean? We have channels that we can do these virtual things. But I think the other side is the data collection side of, like I said, I did not know who the alumni were that, you know what I mean, I thought was worthy of connecting with, and that I thought was somebody that I could learn from. And I think that's how those lunch and learns can help. I think that's how those guest speakers can help. And that's at least has been my perspective. And I think that answers a lot of what you're saying, is like, yes, if you want to get involved, like I 100% recommend to reach out to the school and reach out to different people there, because I think that's the other side, is a lot of people graduate and they don't want nothing to do with the school. And that's something else I learned, is it probably is somebody out there with a, you know, 7-figure job, CEO somewhere, that haven't talked to anybody at Lourdes in 10 plus years.
Yeah, Lourdes is an old school. I'm sure there's like someone else that can do something about it.
Exactly. And I think like those people, like it's hard to probably reach those people, but I think they only know who's passionate if you do, you know what I mean, reach out, connect with the school, be more involved on that front. And yeah, man, I think that's a great conversation. I think that's, look, the reality of going to a small school is the resources are small, and you know what we had to accomplish was probably a lot harder than someone who could just name drop a university, or, you know what I mean, the hiring manager went to the same school as them. And like, that's something I have never got to experience in my time. And like, here we are, like meeting in an office randomly in downtown Cincinnati, and it's like, wait, Lourdes, what?
No. I mean, when I saw that you went to Lourdes, I was like, Jesus Christ, thank God I see hope at the end of the tunnel, because oh my gosh, like I thought that like I cannot compete people that go to Xavier, UC, especially when I'm in Cincinnati. And like, even like at Lourdes, I could not compete with people that went to Toledo, you know, to UT. And like now we're competing against way more people. And I saw like, okay, this guy not only here works as a full-time, but he's also a manager. I'm like, thank God, like for showing me that that's possible in a way.
Yeah, no, and that's where I was just saying, like that was the mindset I went into the invite to the board, was like, dang, I really got to pay it back, because like I said, I'm talking to Malik when I did not know what was possible once I graduated college.
Yeah, and trust me, if I had you on one of my classes there, you know, I mean, even though I had some other guest speakers, but I think like seeing someone that graduated from Lourdes, it's like, okay, there is hope. It is possible, you know. And like, even though like you're American and as an international student, everything is a little bit more complicated, which is also important, I think, to bring international students.
I think that's a whole nother topic for sure. Yeah,
exactly. but I think just, just inspiring people, and and a lot of international students, what ends up happening is they go back home for Christmas and holidays, and they don't come back
Yeah.
because, I mean, I'm not playing that much, yeah, I'm gonna get a degree there, but it's hard, and I have to come back anyways because I cannot get a job. And wait a second, yes, you can get a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is ways around it,
Yeah.
legal ways around it,
Yeah.
and I think seeing those stories will inspire people in a way. And I mean, I hope that people can, just listen to this podcast in a way,
Yes.
and just okay, yeah, it is possible. I'm hearing that from a black guy that graduated from Lourdes, a small NAIA. I'm hearing from a guy that graduated from Lourdes, is an international student. So yeah, it is possible.
Yeah. I was about to say, and like you're saying, I I always when I say pay it back, that is literally it. Like you said, like you do need a North Star. Like you do need something to chase, because there's a lot of hope behind that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of motivation behind that, because yes, it may not be step 1, step 2, step 3. Like my steps are a lot different from your steps.
Yeah.
But there is reason to it, and there is hope to it, of dang, he was able to figure out the steps. You know what I mean? I should be able to figure out the steps. And that is 100% true.
Yeah, for sure. All right, my last question for you.
Yeah.
It's a question that I always ask the guest speaker.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you would share with the entire world? You're gonna be able to share one thing with every single person on this earth.
Yeah.
What's that one thing? And it can be to whatever you want to be related. It's business, marketing, life, whatever it is.
You emailed this question, and I asked my wife, I told her what it was, and she was like, okay. And I was like, I'm still gonna do it, because I could change it. If we have a podcast a year from now, I could change it.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing that has resonated with me a lot, and it's helped me a lot, just as far as just a lot of the different projects and a lot of different things I work on, is everybody is creative. And that was something I like I said, I would consider myself creative, but labeling that everybody is creative is like I said, I go up to my wife and I'm like, this shirt or this shirt, what shirt you like? She's like, I like this shirt because of the way the pocket sits there. And just that has helped me a lot with, like I said, idea generation and talking with people from different walks of life, talking with people with different perspectives, where it's I love the fact that everyone has their own unique eye. And I hate when people try to change it, try to dumb it down, try to, you know what I mean, move it, and no, give your thought. Everybody is creative because it's you. No one could be you. And that is the one thing I would share with the world as of 2025. You use your creativity, because the world needs it and the world loves it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because the other day I saw this girl. She used to work on a lab, and she was talking how everyone see colors different.
Yes.
And everyone see colors in a different way. Nobody in the entire world look at colors the same way you do.
Yep.
And that goes about perspective, and looking at things from a different point of view.
Yep.
And all of that. So yeah, no, I think that's
a good one. Okay.
For sure.
Let's go.
Well, thank you so much. Is there any books, any podcasts that throughout the way maybe you listen and you read it or something like that kind of change your mindset, change the way you think?
Yes, absolutely. I've been recommending this to a lot of people. Move Like Water.
Is it a book?
It is a book. If you've not heard that statement before, it's from the late actor Bruce Lee. Okay. He was a martial artist. turned actor, who eventually became a very successful name. This book was written from the perspective of his daughter. He was not able to produce any books during his life, so his daughter wrote the book as a philosophy. So Move Like Water is now a philosophy in the sense of like I said, you gotta really understand how water it conforms, it changes, it gets lower, it gets higher, it moves around corners, it never stays the same, but in the sense it changes with what is going on around you. And I think that at the point I read this book was really at a point where I felt like it was important to stay not too high, don't stay too low. You know what I mean? If somebody's being rude, try to understand it. Like, it's always, I always felt that, but reading that from the perspective of a man that really built himself up to a level of Bruce Lee, like people know Bruce Lee, where his daughter was able to just see it from that lens, where she didn't have to be anybody. Bruce Lee, she's paid forever off of Bruce Lee, off of the work her father did. She was able to see it through a lens of like, wow, like this could change lives. And that's a book I've been recommending to everyone because I just feel like it just relates to just so many things. Just because, I mean, life is hard. Like, at the end of the day, life is not an easy thing. And I think Bruce Lee understood it in a sense that, like, a lot of people just don't get to that level of, wow, I could wake up today and have a bad day, but I got some donuts in the cabinet that I can eat real quick. That's gonna smack. Like I don't think people have ever really had that in their mind of like, man, like I can make it a good day or a bad day, like every day. And that's the book I'm putting out there right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely add that to my list.
Yes.
If people wanted to connect with you and find you on social media, how can they find you?
Yeah, right now I've been telling everybody, get with me on LinkedIn, man. Malik Thurman. LinkedIn, I think, has been somewhere where I think it's been just really good to connect and network with people that are really, really wanting to move along in a career. And I think that's important nowadays. Like, I mean, people are getting laid off, people are getting fired, and like, you know what I mean? Not to say like my job is 100% secure, but in the sense of like, I've just met some just really, really good people on there, and I'm telling people to go there because that's where you're gonna share this podcast at. So that's double to get us both some views on there.
Of course, yeah. Well, thank you so much. Loved all the insights, your story. Like I said, I brought you because you said that you had opinions, and the first day I met you, I saw you were from Lourdes, and I was like, okay, it is possible.
Yeah.
So great talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's a Sunday morning.
I'm chilling. I'm probably about to make some breakfast. Like I said, go to the gym, and hey, I'm cool. I appreciate it more, man. Like I said, I definitely did this in the sense of just supporting what you're doing. I think podcasts like this are important, especially like we said, for people seeking answers and people seeking motivation, people seeking inspiration. Like, these types of conversations is important for that.
Yeah, awesome. I thank you so much.
Yeah.